Energetics and movement are some of the most important things that we can do for our body. And on today's show, Wednesdays with Willa, we're going to be discussing this very important topic. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, this is Wednesdays with Willa. I am your host, Willa White. I'm a registered Lilydale medium. I've been registered for about 21 years now, so time has flown by. And this is year 6 of my weekly podcast show. So there are lots of archived videos of past shows that you can enjoy if you want to binge watch to your heart's content. I have had a lot of great guests and a lot of great topics over the years, so I encourage you to take a look at those. This airs on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. You can also find it on the Lilydale Assembly Facebook page, as well as my YouTube channel. So I encourage you to like and share and follow and subscribe and all of those great things. And you can also, if you prefer a listen-only version, you can tune in on the Lilydale Radio channel, which is blogtalkradio.com/Lilydale Radio. There are various Lilydale Radio shows that happen throughout the week, and they've just added a whole bunch of new shows, so you'll be able to really learn and grow with all of us. Each host brings something different to the occasion, and we are blessed to have with us today one of our new Lilydale Radio hosts, Nancy Lombardo. Thanks for being here today, Nancy.
Thank you, Willa. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I can't believe it's been 6 years. I think I've come on most of your 6 years.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. Nancy's been a great guest in the past, so type in her name on my Facebook page or on the YouTube channel, and you can really enjoy some of the other things that she's been able to share with us throughout the years. For those of you who don't know who Nancy Lombardo is, first and foremost, she is my neighbor. And really,
next door neighbor.
So we're big fans of each other. It's great to always feel that connection of joy. You know, when I look over at your house, I just feel like, yay, Nancy's there. So Nancy is a yoga and fitness instructor, as well as being a retired police detective. So again, look at those past shows if you want to have some of that experience of understanding a little bit of her background more in that category. And she is the current president of the Church of the Living Spirit, which is one of the Lilydale churches. So she is a beloved volunteer of our community, and we really appreciate everything that you do for Lilydale and for all of us. And I know that as a yoga and fitness instructor, that, you know, exercise is something that's really important to you. You can see Nancy out there running. She's a marathon
year round.
Yes, I am. Through the snow, through the cold, through the heat. That happens. And she's such an inspiration of constantly using her body, using her mind, using her spirit, and joining those together. Quick to mention her show that will start this coming Monday. The title of it is?
The title of it is, why did I explain it? Enlightening Your Way.
Enlightening Your Way. And it'll be on Monday nights at 8 p.m. And it'll air on blogtalkradio.com and also on Facebook.
Yes, Facebook Live. I'll be having guests like you do and various topics to connect our mind, body, spirit, and wellness. Because wellness is something that's very passionate to me.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And today our topic is energetics and movement. I knew Nancy would be a perfect person to talk about this. Mm-hmm. And I have something really great to share about movement in just a little bit. But I want to get her started here. Let's talk about our energetics and movement. And
I guess I wanted to start at a story, and I don't know if it's appropriate. It's a story, and I always throw Willa for a loop. But anyways, first of all, I want to give a shout out to my sister Maria, because March 1st is her birthday.
Oh,
so you've met Maria. She comes here. She visits us in Lilydale. She's a sweetheart. And this day is always, it does something for me. March 1st does something for me. And I wanted to share a story with you. It really doesn't have a lot to do with this, but it kind of segues into it. So I was working on the police department, and as Willa says, I'm out all hours of the day and night, because for 15 years on the police department, I worked midnight shift. And years ago when I was working midnight shift, and it was March 1st, and it was after 12 o'clock. My sister at the time was in Germany. Years ago when I was working midnight shift. And I thought I need to go home and call her for her birthday. We were allowed a 20-minute break. We were allowed to go out of our area and make a phone call or to take a break. So I went home that night. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning to call my sister to wish her a happy birthday. And I was out of my zone, and I was talking to my sister, and I heard a call go out. And the call said something about one of our local convenience stores of the area that I was patrolling, that someone had gone in and the clerk was nowhere to be found. Well, immediately, our intuition, I just like, something's terribly wrong. And the thing of it is that clerk, I'd gone in there every single night to talk to this beautiful lady. She was also a military person who was German and had been there with her husband stationed where I was at. And we've gone very, very close, got to know each other. She became very, very good friends. I immediately told my sister, I was like, I got to go, something's wrong. And I got in my patrol car and I drove, it was like 5 miles to get to the other side of town to get out to that convenience store. And as soon as I pulled in, my partners had already gone there and they were like, I'm running out of my car trying to get in the convenience store to find out what the heck had happened. And they were pulling me back because sadly they already found her and she had been murdered that night. Due to the fact of someone murdered her over $20 in a cash register.
I remember you coming on the show and talking about this story in one of the police shows we did. Yeah.
And it was devastating to me.
Yeah.
And it was always March 1st. And I always remember that. And there's this, I want to pay her tribute and I want to think about her and remember her and send blessings to her family and her kids that survived her. But also it was incidents like that and, traumatic incidents of people that went to work and didn't know they were going to die and ends up dying that really put into me to live a lifestyle, okay, and a healthy lifestyle and to live your best life each and every day.
Yes.
And I think that segues into this.
Yes, how important movement is for our particular energetics so that our life system can sustain, so that we can appreciate our life and the people around us.
Yeah.
To the maximum. We want maximum, optimum lifestyle. Absolutely.
So when I retired, I had a running partner that I ran with in Oklahoma we ran together almost, 15 years. And I always had a running partner. And she's like, well, what are you going to do after you retire? And I was like, well, I'm going to live in a gym. Because, before when you work, you have to be up at 5 in the morning working out or work out late at night. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to live in a gym. And I'm not going to say that I'm living in a gym specifically, but I definitely would consider myself a self-proclaimed fitness junkie.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, I'm always working out or doing something like that. And I spend many hours working out and taking care of my body and doing movement.
Yeah. Movement throughout the day is very important. Actually, this would make a good time for me to share.
I would love that.
About what I learned the other day about movement and energetics. So, how many of you have heard of HOPE molecules? HOPE molecules.
I told you I haven't even heard that.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Research scientists actually named these HOPE molecules. So what happens is when you exercise, you use your muscles, right? Your muscles are contracting, and during those moments, what's happening is that there are chemicals that are being released in your body. So your muscles are actually part of your endocrine system. We always think of it as being the musculature that is part of us, but it's part of the endocrine system. So the organs that helps to synthesize and release chemicals, the muscles help to get them into the bloodstream even more.
That makes sense.
So that synthesizes those and affects every system of your body. And so biologists and scientists that are studying this, they say that basically your muscles are there to help the energy move through your bones, through the other organs, and just like your whole body becomes this pharmacy between the adrenal glands, the pituitary gland, and pancreas and everything. You got this amazing pharmacy that's your body that's manufacturing and storing chemicals that have profound effects on you, mind, body, and spirit. So especially on that mental and physical health level, we need this. So maybe you've heard of myokines, MYOKINES. Though myo means muscle, and kind means to set in motion. So you've got these chemicals that are myokines that are sent into motion by your muscles that go into your bloodstream, and they affect your immune system. They affect your brain, and they help to regulate not just your blood sugar, but they improve your metabolism, and they help your energy to also kill cancer cells.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter how you use your muscles and contract them, but on a daily basis, it's really important for us to do that. So it could mean that you're walking, that you're biking, you're running, you're lifting weights, or any kind of continuous action that's using your muscles. What happens is these chemicals are released, and the scientists, the researchers actually labeled these hope molecules. For a scientist to label a hope molecule, because it appears to work at your brain level.
I like that.
So yeah, people normally would associate exercise with endorphin levels going up and having this oxytocin. It's all part of that being released. But you're actually giving yourself medicine every time you exercise, every time you're moving, so that these chemicals that are linked to better physical health and the reduction of dis-ease, right? Yeah. Mentally and physically, that when you're truly engaging in life, when you're moving, you're telling your whole body system, your energetics, whether we're talking, the chakras or your aura layers or any of those things, the meridians, any of those layers of energy that are in you, that you are here for life. You are here to live and to fully engage. So I just got really excited when I heard about hope molecules, and that is what we use in our energetics. I love that they label the hope molecules.
Hope. Yeah, I love the hope. That's so funny, because one of the sentences I wrote, and it goes exactly with that: where energy goes, our attention flows.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And and a lot of times people sometimes put forth, I think, negative energy, like, I can't do that. How do you want me to, come up with any kind of plan? And like you said, it's as simple as just standing up. How about we stand up? Yeah. Even just going from sitting down watching TV to standing up, to taking one step. I'm shocked, and I hate to say it, but I bought myself the good old watch,
because now,
but now it just makes me even pay attention to more things, But I was shocked how many steps I take just inside my house, Like, I'm always out running a minimum usually of 3 miles, and I thought, oh, that's good. And then at the end of the day, it's like I've gone 5-6 miles just from walking around your house. It's incredible the exercise you get inside your house.
Yes.
But I like this. I wrote this down. We must become the motivator of our own change. We must. We're the only ones that can do it. You can sit there and come to me as a fitness instructor, but I can't motivate you when I'm not around you. You have to take that responsibility yourself and want to do it.
It's so crucial that there's something inside of you that says, I am willing to move. I'm willing to do this to improve myself. I was watching a podcast the other day while I do dishes. I try to listen to things, and I was listening to one about brain health, and movement can actually help you change your brain health. So if you have issues on a mental level, sometimes what can happen is that you need the movement. Especially if depression has set in, certain forms of it, we can't talk about extreme levels on this, but certain forms of depression are really helped by movement and having the energetics. So let's say I need to go outside and take a walk and get my yanas out, like it's just one of those things where you just say, okay, I've got to be in nature, feel the wind upon my face, feel the sunshine upon my face, and move my body and feel like I'm getting some traction somewhere. So there's a symbolic representation of movement in our life. And so a lot of people who are stiff, sometimes what they need is movement. Especially if they feel like a rusty gate. What they need is, once they really kind of push through certain kinds of pain, then they can get their momentum up, and each day be able to do a little bit more. But you're training your body to be responsive to life, that you're engaging.
I like that you're engaging. And see, I wrote down physical benefits of moving energy throughout our body. And I'm going to cross that one off because we just talked about that. Yeah. It does improve mental health for sure.
It really does.
Reduces depressive symptoms, like you said. Loneliness, can fight against loneliness and isolation. Even if you're out there and there's no one else around. You know, if you're out in nature, if you're out hearing the birds, that can give you a sense of not being lonely and that there's other things in the world.
Yeah, you don't want to just stay stuck in your fishbowl.
Right.
You need to get out and about and have those moments. But I've noticed that because I exercise every day now, and I really value that time because I'm, you know, the other thing that you might want to mention here would be when you have mind focus, when you do certain exercises, when you're putting your intention into that movement that you're doing, you're actually making things more powerful. And I know ever since I learned about the Hope molecules, I should say plural, I've been saying, okay, those are what are being released in my body. More and more hope is being released, more and more energy is being released. And when we focus on our muscles and focus on our body, we get more grounded.
Yes.
So that we're not in our heads obsessively thinking, that you're in those movements of exercise that you're doing. So you can set aside the other elements of your life that may be going on and just be present.
Right. That definitely goes with the mental health.
Absolutely.
Part. So
beautiful.
Yeah. I know you touched the base a little bit about the endorphins, and we're always talking about endorphins, especially with exercise. And I must say, as a police officer, sometimes they say we almost get addicted to the endorphins because when you're going into those crazy scenarios all the time, your endorphins are always high, high, high. And, you know, maybe that's why when I retired, I upped my exercise game to try to keep getting those endorphin feelings that I had.
No bungee jumping yet, huh?
No, not that. But what you might not realize is that the endorphins actually don't kick into almost about an hour after your exercise. And they continue throughout the rest of the day. And that's what they can possibly relieve pain, reduce stress, and boost your overall well-being by having those endorphins increased. Just doing some exercise. What do we mean by some exercises? Honestly, they mean by about an hour a day. If you got that. Some people are like, I don't have an hour a day.
Well, chunk it up in different points of the day.
Right. And when we were talking about the mental health and creativity, intuitivity, and I was thinking about this yesterday, and you walk around all the time. How many mediums do we see that actually in the summertime go and walk for that, right?
Right.
I mean, they use it because it's helping them. John White, we used to see walk constantly. Yeah. Did we not? And walk around the lake?
It's important for us to just have our time to be in nature, to walk, and to release things. And I guess I will mention at this point, if you are a medium, if you are a healer, if you're a sensitive, if you have to do empathic counseling of any level, exercise, you need it. So not only are you releasing the hope molecules, not only are you contracting your muscles, but you are essentially having to purge yourself energetically because you're having to carry quite a load for another person during the time that you are together in session with someone. You're carrying that load with them. You can feel what the things from spirit. If you're a medium, you can feel sometimes how the client or sitter is feeling, and you feel it as if it was your own if you're clairsentient the way I am. And so we don't want to carry it afterward. So we have to purge that from our bodies. The physical outlet is very important energetically if you want to sustain yourself as a medium, as a healer, as an energy worker.
Yeah. I totally believe that for sure. And I tell people I do some of my best thinking when I'm out running.
Oh, yeah.
I write poetry in my head. Things come to me. Thoughts come to me. I do some of my best thinking when I'm out in that meditative state, which is still moving energy.
Yeah. So, and don't you think that part of it is that you're supercharging yourself with all the hope molecules and all the other good stuff that's going on there. But then additionally, there's a part of your brain that's being babysat that would, needs to just handle the automatic function of moving your body as you're running through the streets, right? But so that the other part of your brain can really just say, all right, let's do some really great intuitive work now.
Right.
So, you can be in that kind of focused, I call it working or walking meditation, in this case, running meditation.
Right.
And you can access a trance state to some extent.
Absolutely.
And so that's what Nancy's talking about. Now, will I ever be a runner? I laugh. I throw my head back and I laugh. No, but I could do the movements that are right for me.
Absolutely.
And I could do the movements that put me into that state of being. So don't think that you have to be a runner just like Nancy. but God bless you, the people who run. Absolutely.
But like you said, the key, and I tell this to everybody, is to finding what you like. Yeah. You have to find what you like. You have to find what you'll stick with. Mm-hmm. And if it takes through going through a bunch of different things to like, oh, this is my niche, and this is something I really like, this is something that fulfills me, this is something I can stick with, because it needs to be a lifestyle. It can't just be a diet that I'm going to do for 6 months. It can't just be, I'm going to swim in the pool for a couple months in the summer and then I'm giving it. It has to be something you really want to stick with, that you can incorporate into your daily life. Mm-hmm. Because if you incorporate it and keep it every single day, you will notice all these benefits we're talking about. They'll stay with you. Okay? If not, that's why you have these people up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, that's right. And I have been known in between sessions, sometimes I will stretch to encourage that movement in my body, especially if I could feel the heaviness of the energy lingering in any kind of way, shape, or form. I stretch, and I have certain things that work well for me to release that energy. And I can feel the difference in myself. It's like, it's kind of clearing the channels. And because as a medium, as a healer, as someone who works with energy, you become a channel, and you want to keep that clear and pure to the best you can. So that when people talk about yourself as a body, as a temple, that's an important aspect of this. And the energetics that are involved in honoring what your body and your spirit need in those moments. Once you attune to that, you say, I know what to do. Anytime I get clogged in a certain way, I do this. Anytime I can feel this is unsteadying, then I do this. So you can put yourself into certain postures and certain mindsets and energy sets that will make a big difference.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I would have never thought that I would have found myself teaching yoga. I mean, doing yoga, let alone teaching yoga. Because when I was on the police department, I suffered some injuries, I had my neck fused together, and I've had different injuries with my knees, and I'm just like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that bendy stuff. You see some of these pictures, and I'm like, there's no way. But when I understood the whole concept of yoga, it wasn't just about the postures, like you said, it's a whole mind, body, spirit, breathing, breath. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell my students all the time, you do what you do. It's your workout practice. It's your yoga practice, not mine. It's what you need. It's how far you can go. You don't have to be perfect postures. It doesn't have to be any of that. It just has to be what you can do.
Yes. And, one of my favorite instructors, she says, modifications still get results.
I love that.
And, she'll say that at different points, because sometimes you feel guilty because you're like, well, I can't move. I can't move this part of my body, or I can't do this. So do seated exercises. Don't go, with your shoulder. Like, you just, be reasonable with yourself, but getting blood flow and energetics and now hope molecules to certain locations will be in your mind as you're doing this. And, you were just saying about having that recognition in yourself of the breathing, and that everybody has to go in their own pace. Mm-hmm. So as you're going through these movements with not just yoga, but any kind of movement, be aware of your breath. Be aware of how that alters your consciousness. Making you feel.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We did a show about breath, by the way.
We did do a show about
breath. So
breath.
Go look back at the archive videos.
I wrote this, and it goes with what we're saying, that you must know and understand how we move through our life, how we think, how we believe, in order to produce change. Because if you don't know where you are right now specifically, you don't know where it is you want to go to. And that's how you're going to shift your patterns into incorporating movement into your practice.
Yes.
Any kind of movement into your daily practice, because it's so important for that energy.
And I want to say I did a show earlier on, and when I first started doing Wednesdays with Willa, and talking about embodied prayer. So, when we join our hands together in prayer like that, we're uniting the hand chakras, we're energetically allowing things to go up the channel, through the channels of our arms, and we're in that meeting place with the divine, with the God source of all. And so we embody prayer not just like this, but in the other movements that we do. And they produce different spiritual understandings and different energetics that are all part of that. So when you think about your exercise as being part of embodying prayer, that takes it to a whole new level, folks.
And it sounds better. It sounds nicer than, when you say exercise, I think exercise, the word in general, scares people, especially ones that don't have an actual routine, so to say, put in place. But putting it that way sounds beautiful. I love that. It
is beautiful if we let it be. If we start to think in terms of what spiritual consciousness can we bring to this occasion, instead of dreading exercise, you start to say, this is an opportunity. What a blessing it is for me to engage and keep my body as limber as I possibly can. Relaxation in many ways is the new strength. So sometimes when what we're needing to do is, yes, we're building strength, but we're also teaching our bodies to contract and relax. And so we're able to work through stresses of our day, stresses that we might feel are overwhelming. And, that's why so many people, Nancy was also in the military. Like, she's so cool. She's like done something. But in the military, they exercise to be prepped and ready, but they exercise so they have an outlet. For some of the things that they're having to do, the mental stress, the physical stress of that, they still need the energetics of working out so that they have a focus. So sometimes exercise is about mind focus and concentration in those times.
Right.
And I do like dance, so sometimes I'll just put music on and dance. But we have to have focused times in our exercise too, that we say, this is me focusing my energy in a purposeful way that I know is going to bring some harmony.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
I've been running for 20 years, and don't think that it's easy all the time, because sometimes I still have bad days. Even like yesterday, I was out there running. It was cold. It was cold out there. And I found myself struggling a little bit and struggling and breathing. And it's funny you say that about the military, because the one thing I sometimes go back to when I'm struggling is I run and I start singing cadence that I remember from the military, because it had that much of an impact.
It's your mantra
on me. And I still go back to it sometimes now, just to get my feet back in order, get my mind off of that I'm struggling with this, and
so you go back into those kinds of patterns, and also things that make it a bit more playful or focused.
Yes.
Focused play.
Yeah, the mind has a memory for sure that can go back to those places specifically and get you out of that funk.
Oh, I love that you shared about that, because I think it's so perfect, because sometimes we forget when we're in drudgery of life that sometimes we just need to have the right cadence song to help us move through our life. And so symbolically, I mean, Louise Hay and other folks that understand about the physical system and how it relates to the spiritual energy, mental energy, they talk about how when we are stiff, it's because we feel we're having a hard time moving in our life, moving forward in our life. And so you sometimes need to free things up physically within yourself, so that you can see the possibilities in other areas or aspects of your life.
That's very interesting you say that, because I think especially living here in Western New York, and we've had a mild, I'd have to say, don't you think
it's been a blessing.
A mild winter for sure, but especially here, I mean, it's proven that so many people fall into that depressive state, that non-moving state. They say we technically almost go into a hibernating state because of the weather, and it's easy to fall into that pattern. You're right. So in order to get out of that pattern, it's good to, even like I said, even if you're in your house doing something in your house, to not fall into that, oh, I'm going to hibernate, it's wintertime, I don't need to do anything. And guess what happens? Next thing you know, the weight's starting to pile on. All this thing, it's like a domino effect. Will happen when you just are sedate.
And so then when the good weather hits, you're like, I still feel sluggish. I still feel like I want to stay under the covers.
Right.
And so this can dynamically shift your mindset and your body and your whole energy. So, and here's the other thing, on a mental level, sometimes you have to get moving so that you can get your life moving. And you might say, well, I'm scared to get my life moving. I want to stay in a negative circumstance because at least I know what to expect. And so you kind of sit at that point. And it's a little scary to move yourself through this. But once you get some successes and you realize, oh my gosh, that exercise that I couldn't even do a few of, now I can do more of. And you just kind of build on there. So you can have these little mini successes that build other areas of your life. And I think energetically, movement teaches us that we have that potential. And the people who can't move, they wish they could. I mean, there's so many people who are, they're bound to their chairs. They literally can't move, and they wish they could, or they have they feel so locked down, and just an eye blink is all they can do. So never take for granted what you can do in terms of movement and how this can make you progress. Don't be scared of developing your own power. We need you rip-roaring for the rest of the world.
Yeah, and I think sometimes if you don't feel like you have the motivation yourself, it's good to have that buddy system. It's good to find somebody that maybe you can work out with, maybe that will meet you at a park. And I think that's why sometimes the gyms are good, because it makes you accountable to go there and you're with a group of people, so you don't feel like you're just doing this by yourself. And sometimes people need that extra motivation to be in a group environment or a buddy or a running partner like I had. It was hard for me to, even now it's hard for me to be out there sometimes by myself all the time, because I always had a partner. She made me accountable. Meet me at 6:30. I don't want to be there, but I know she's going to be there, so I'm going to be there. It made it a lot easier.
Having accountability partners, it can be really crucial for people.
And it can be that extra boost that you need to help you.
Yeah, I mean, you're both sweating. You're both sweating. You're both having the journey that you're on, and yet it can be a shared experience. So yeah, there's value in the energy of having a companion through that. Yeah. And life is like that too, not just with exercise, but if we this isn't that great, but we're gonna get through it. There's a camaraderie that can be maintained even after exercise. So sometimes people, if they're exercise buddies, they're friends for years, eons, because of what they've been able to trust in each other.
And one thing I can promise you, even if you're having the worst day ever and you really just don't want to do anything, make yourself do it, because you will never regret doing it. Afterwards, you'll be like, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad I got
you don't do something stupid. Don't go try to lift 100 pounds or something silly. Don't be silly.
I'm just
get up off the chair. You can practice sitting up and sitting down. Those kind of things. And I have to say, there was a point in my life that I really was having difficulty moving myself. And so I found some senior videos to do, because I was like, let's start there. Changed my life, I have to say.
But what I'm saying is, every time you've done that, you've never regretted doing it.
No, I have not regretted doing it. No, it's been like, thank you. I feel more freedom in my movement. I was able to do that, or I know where I need to improve. And then you can, it's the building blocks that happen within a person. Now, Nancy is also a healer.
Yes.
And I feel that as a healer, there's that sense of when we are at our optimum level, we're able to do more on a healing level too. So
because it's energy.
If you want to be able to help more people, you want to work on your own energetics.
Yes.
And so it has to start with you. So that when you're doing healing work with a person, it is easier for you to feel discordance in energy if you don't have very many discordant things going on in your own. So the more pure you can be in that sense, the free flow of that, it's easier. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes.
Then, this hurts on me and that hurts on me. And if you don't have to even worry about that in your baseline of what's yours, then you can really be just in the moment of what someone else needs as far as energy channeling.
I like that, and you're exactly right. It does feel smoother and richer to be able to have that. And I know in our yoga, we'll start off with a brief meditation, of course, with our breath, but I'm always encouraging my students to feel the energy going, all the way from the tips of their fingers, feel it move through your body, all the way down to the tips of your toes. Even if in your mind's eye, I'll say that a lot, but you can, if you really breathe through it and feel the energy, you can literally feel the energy moving through your body. And that's in stillness. Yeah. So imagine what you can feel in movement.
Yeah, exactly. And being able to breathe into those movements and honor what's going on.
Yes.
Being very present in that moment of now. It trains you then to be able to apply energetically to your other interactions, not just with your body and soul, but to other people's bodies and souls and how you relate with them.
Yes.
And how you can breathe if you feel like someone else maybe needs to take a breath. You can breathe.
You can feel that.
You can change the energetics just by the movement of your lungs. And that is such a gift. I mean, that breath of life, right? That God has given us, the Supreme Force shows us each and every day that we have a choice of how deep or how shallow we live and breathe. And we have this opportunity to just move our lungs. Now, I'll tell you, my family and I went to a local theater to see a play, and we laughed so much. I laughed so much. My diaphragm hurt for 2 days.
Wow. That's a lot for you.
That was a lot of
That's a lot for you.
I was like, holy cow. It's like, because I obviously laughed, but that was such a workout. It was incredible. And I was like, wow, I guess I need to work my diaphragm more, right? Like, but even laughter, let yourself laugh. Know that that's part of your energetics and movement. With all of this,
too. It's not just
exercise.
Serious. Yes. Yeah. It doesn't have to be so serious. Yeah. It can be fun.
It can absolutely be fun. On the flip side, let's say you have a lot of pent up emotion or anger about things. Sounds like it's cardio kickbox time.
And I just happen to teach cardio kick for sure.
Yeah. So like, boom, 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 boom. Like go to roundhouse kick, push.
You'd be surprised, doing those movements, even just in the air, kicking in the air, punching in the air, and I mean, you can feel it.
Yeah.
You don't need that bag. You can just mentally move it.
And I don't think we need to feel bad if we feel like punching something.
Yeah, it's okay.
We really don't have to feel badly about that. I mean, if you punch someone, so you want to have channeled energy with this, but it's good to realize with great power comes great responsibility, of course, but that we have power. There's knowing how to defend yourself can be really helpful in helping you in your own energy of defense. And also the offensive, not being offending, by the way, offensive of what you're wanting to do. So I think there's value to different kinds of movements. So you might want to spice it up, folks.
There's everything out there right now. There's everything out there.
So Nancy does cardio kickbox. You teach
cardio kick and yoga right now.
And yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which are completely opposite.
The ones that come to my cardio kick class, I tell them that, I said, this is not yoga. This is absolutely, and then they see this whole side of me come out that's like, well, who's this person? Yeah, because it's totally different. And if
no, kick him in the face. No, do. I'm joking.
Well, it builds your confidence.
It
builds your confidence and your self-esteem and all that.
So like when you walk down the street, you could you're gonna be a neighborhood tough. No?
Yeah.
I think we have to take on different personas like that within ourselves to be more well-rounded.
Well, you look totally different when I see you out. Willa goes out there with her hat.
Oh yeah,
and she's like, oh, "I love that Willa." I mean, I'm serious. I like that Willa.
And I stay kind of in my little focused, exercisey, walky world.
You do, yeah. You definitely
and
do.
that's what I feel like we have different outfits.
Oh yeah.
That help us to energetically connect with who we need to be in those moments. So if it's movement, I have my certain movement costume, right? But as a medium, usually I wear a dress because I like the energy to not be bound up. So it just depends on what you're doing energetically and what you feel is best. Keep that in mind for yourself as you're developing what movement and energetics are right for you.
That's why I asked you, I was like, do you mind if I wear my workout stuff again? Because this is where I'm comfortable at, and this is what I usually wear most of the time.
This is Nancy.
Yeah, this is me, for sure.
This is Nancy. And it's, it's beautiful that, because I have to say, yoga pants do rule. I love yoga pants.
Me.
I have to say, they like exercisey pants. They feel comfortable to me.
Yeah, now they're
more than jeans.
Now they're wearing them everywhere.
Yeah.
Style.
It's better than pajama bottoms.
Yeah,
some people do.
I'll agree with that for sure. Totally.
It's a one-up from that. What other things would you like to share with folks today about energetics and movement?
Okay, some of the other benefits, and I've noticed this specifically, that if I don't get my movements in, I don't sleep as good at night. And it's scientifically proven that regular exercise will help us sleep better. And how many of us have problems with insomnia? It's a big problem for a lot of people. Going to bed, tossing and turning, getting up another hour later. And what do? You get up and you go grab something to eat because you're bored. So it's another one of those domino effects that's not good. So if we incorporate movement, it can help our sleep patterns.
Absolutely.
And sleep is very important. And to know how much sleep you need is very important in this whole energy movement cycle. It's very important.
You know, some people say, "Oh, I only need 4 hours of sleep a day," and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh!" When I was listening to the Brain Health podcast, when they actually scan people's brains, they can be a lot older in people who do not get appropriate sleep. It's almost like the brain starts being eaten because if you don't have appropriate sleep, you can't have the restoration to your body that you need on basic levels that affect you on mitochondrial levels, the endocrine system, of course, but everything. So yes, having movement does assist. And timing your movement. Like when it comes to your energetics and your movement and your sleep, you kind of want to have this a little bit timed out for yourself.
Yes.
Of what is optimum for you.
Yes.
So pay attention if you notice that, yes, if I do stop hitting snooze and I get up and I do some stretches and exercises, it makes a difference later on for me in the day, and then I do sleep better. Start to notice what brings you the most harmony, because you might like, I don't feel harmonious right now, and I don't want to get up and do this. But if it can really set your day energetically for you to have that movement right off the bat,
right,
that is the most healing. If you look at Ayurvedic medicine, they talk about the things that Ayurvedic medicine, it's so into self-care. My
goodness.
It's
definitely a part of yoga.
They oil people up. You eat this. This is when you're gonna dry brush. You're going to get the lymphatic system going. You're going to have certain exercises that you do, and keep that in mind for yourself to find the right rhythm that energetically is going to sustain you through the day, because at some point, you're going to have to hit the wall. And if you have a routine in place that you know is a good sustaining force for you, you're going to have that to fall back on.
Routine is important. Sort of going to bed sort of the same time every day and getting up sort of the same time every day is important. You're right about that, because sleep deprivation could be very dangerous. I remember working on the police department. Sometimes I think the longest I was up was like 36 hours working, thinking that you could still work, thinking that you could still focus, and it wasn't, in the big picture of things, it really wasn't. But keeping, like I said, a routine to include our movement as part of that routine will complete our cycle and complete our cycle smoothly, like you said.
Yeah, and also with movement, a lot of times after you've had, let's say, dinner, instead of doing the dishes right away, go take a walk, because that's supposed to help you with the digestion.
Yep.
And that means your energetics. Because let me tell you, if your gut health's off, it's very easy for the rest of you to be off.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we want to do whatever is on a whole body concept that's going to help you to optimize things, so that's not an energy drain for you, that is a source of power that you can extend outwardly to others and have very focused within yourself. And it might be a good time to think about how you want to change up your particular routine to have the optimization of movement. So in terms of your schedule, you do a lot of exercise between the teaching and your own.
Right, I do. Yeah.
But for most people, I think mornings are usually better for me in terms of getting exercise in before everybody needs me as mom. So like that's what works really well for me. But I do try to sprinkle some other things throughout the day.
Yeah, and now that one class I teach now in the morning, the other class I teach in the evenings, and I see complete different people. There's the morning people, there's the evening people, and I know people are working. I get that. I worked for many years before I retired, but I still found a way to incorporate it. So it's just scheduling, finding, making it a priority is what's important, because you can put it back in the back pocket somewhere and say it's not important, but in the overall picture of your health, it's very important.
Yeah, it's part of the self-care that's needed, especially if you want to be here for your loved ones. If you have children or fur babies or family or friends, and you want to be there for them, it's important to get your energetics and your movement figured out for your energy flow of what works best for you. Now, I will say that different phases of your life, you're going to feel like certain movements and energy work better for you.
Oh, I agree with that.
And versus other times of your life. So if you have to phase through things, A-okay. And if you have yourself, put it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. But pay attention to how that feels for you, and maybe drop in the comments what energy exercises have worked well for you.
And it's very individual.
It's very, very a personal experience that you have. Any last thoughts you're wanting to share about energetics and movement? Because it's been great.
It has been good. I would just like to say that I do have my Wellness with Nancy Lombardo site, because wellness, and I'm not just talking about physical wellness, our complete mind, body, and spirit wellness of who we are, who makes us up, is very important to me. And it's very important that we incorporate everything we've talked about today. And, I love that you've put it all together, and I like your hope.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And I know just by what have you told me? You've seen some major changes in you, and just you incorporating this in your life, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's important that we take those moments to really address whatever we need to on a physical, mental, emotional level, and the spiritual component that's in this. So as we're wanting transformation in a certain area of our life, look at the other aspects and what those can bring to the equation to boost you during those times. And having movement, some form of movement, is so beautiful. I know there are a lot of people here in the Lake that have golf carts, and so their movement that they get is racing around.
One thing I've never got is a golf cart.
Wind in their hair. But, you know, and that could be valuable, but let's focus on what your body can do. There are lots of vehicles in the world that can take us from point A to point B, but nothing that will be like your own body. And this body that you've been given, that you need to be a caretaker of, that will help you to increase your energetics so that you can be more powerful as a soul, as a medium, as a healer, as an empath, as an energy worker, and just be there more present for other people in a very focused, delightful way.
Yeah, and look at that pie. Okay, and I love the pie because if every piece isn't in there, you're going to be missing something. And you want to have that full pie, that full circle.
You deserve the full pie.
We all deserve pie. Because it's good to treat ourselves, okay? All this doesn't mean that you don't have treats and you don't get to treat yourself and be good to yourself. Because if you have that whole pie, it is fulfilling your entire body.
Right, and that's a good point, because movement should never be a punishment.
No, ever should it be. It should never feel like a punishment.
Movement should not be a punishment.
If it feels like a punishment, you're not doing the right one.
Right. And don't have the right mindset and the right connection with that particular kind of movement. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward, in your life. And that you know, allow that energy to grow within you and know how powerful your body is. That we manufacture hope molecules and they can be released by our muscles.
I like that.
And is phenomenal. So I hope that you surf that wave of hope and that you allow the joy of movement into your life. And thank you so much for being here today, Nancy. This has been great.
I love this topic, so thank you.
Great. And
if you're local, see me. I teach down at Chautauqua Fitness, my classes. Yeah. If you see me out running on Dale Drive, jump out and join me. I'm always looking for partners to run with. So I would love that.
Jump out and join her. Oh my God. Warm up first, people. Warm up. Can you imagine? I'm like... You know, like a few yards, I'd be like, you go ahead, Nancy. You go ahead.
That's so funny.
Well, I hope you're able to tune in next week on Wednesdays with Willa, and also for Nancy's new show that starts this coming Monday at 8 p.m.
Yes.
So it'll be great.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Yes. Take care. Have a great week. Bye-bye.